Well, Veterans Day is November 11th, which is next Monday. And one of the things we do here at Judicial Watch, first of all, we're just so honored to have the support of so many veterans. And when a veteran says nice things to Judicial Watch, or runs into me on the street and says, you're doing great work, I mean, what an honor that is to hear. Because the only reason we're able to do the work we're doing is because of the sacrifices of the veterans out there, both past and present and future. Because it's eternal vigilance, right? And we're here because of the sacrifices of the prior generations and the current generations. And tomorrow means a new day and a new crop of service members putting everything on the line to guarantee our freedom. And of course, Judicial Watch has an affinity for veterans issues generally. We're representing Bob Rosebrock out in California, a Vietnam veteran who was outraged at the use of a Veterans Affairs facility, a giant one in the center of Los Angeles, that's supposed to be used for the benefit of homeless veterans. Instead, the VA, in its infinite wisdom, has let it be used for virtually everything but homeless veterans. A school has an athletic facility out there, they got dog parks, everything. And he's been protesting that. And every Sunday, he shows up and raises hackles about it at the front. And he was alleged to have placed 2 small American flags on the giant fence outside the facility. And he was arrested and prosecuted for that. And we defended him successfully in federal court from criminal charges related to that. Can you believe it? And we're still suing over that. And we're still getting fought over from the government on that. The Veterans Affairs Administration, they're still fighting us on that. So that's the type of work we like to do. And of course we do other work representing veterans who are having trouble with the government as well. But one of my favorite Veteran Day speeches, and I've referred to it often on our weekly updates, which we send out via email, is Ronald Reagan's speech of 1985. And I'm going to read, if you bear with me, the segment that, or the portion I think is worth sharing here. And I think the full speech, which is available online, is worth looking at. It's his 1985 speech. He said, "And the living have a responsibility to remember the conditions that led to the wars in which our heroes died. Perhaps we can start by remembering this, that all of those who died for us and our country were, in one way or another, victims of a peace process that failed, victims of a decision to forget certain things, to forget, for instance, that the surest way to keep a peace going is to stay strong. Weakness, after all, is a temptation. It tempts the pugnacious to assert themselves, but strength is a declaration that cannot be misunderstood. Strength is a condition that declares actions have consequences. Strength is a prudent warning to the belligerent that aggression need not go unanswered. Peace fails when we forget what we stand for. It fails when we forget that our republic is based on firm principles, principles that have real meaning, that with them we are the last best hope of men on earth. Without them we are little more than the crust of a continent. Peace also fails when we forget to bring to the bargaining table God's first intellectual gift to man, common sense. Common sense gives us a realistic knowledge of human beings and how they think, how they live in the world, what motivates them. Common sense tells us that man has magic in him, but also clay. Common sense can tell the difference between right and wrong. Common sense forgives error, but it always recognizes it to be error first. This is the part that I think is key. We endanger the peace and confuse all issues when we obscure the truth, when we refuse to name and act for what it is, when we refuse to see the obvious and seek safety in Almighty. Peace is only maintained and won by those who have clear eyes and brave minds. Think about that. Think about that whole section. As citizens, are we standing clear for truth? Standing strong for truth? Do you have clear eyes and brave minds in your approach to public policy and to the future of our country? Do our elected officials? I think most Americans do. And I think that's why they're disaffected with Washington, D.C., because they expect their political officials and their judicial officials have clear eyes and brave minds. Brave minds. Are you unafraid to tell the truth? I tell you what, if there's one thing Judicial Watch is not, we are not afraid to tell the truth. We are not going to be cowed by the weak deep state, because by Ronald Reagan's definition, the deep state is the fundamental antithesis of strength. So it gives you a lot to think about on Veterans Day, doesn't it? Because you can bet the veterans, especially those who have faced fire, they have clear eyes and brave minds. In a dramatic fashion, it's been proven. And those of us who haven't served and those of us who benefit from their sacrifices, the least we can do is approach public policy with clear eyes and brave minds. And Judicial Watch, I know we endeavor to do that. We have many veterans here at Judicial Watch we're honored to work with, my colleagues. Many among our colleagues are veterans. And I'm sure you work with them and have them as family members and such. And this is the time of year where we remember their sacrifices. But the key is to kind of highlight what they've done throughout the entire year by treating public policy with the seriousness their sacrifice represents. If you value, they were willing to die for our freedom. What are we willing to do? Little old Judicial Watch, we're willing to sue, tell the truth. And what are you willing to do?
Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch all the latest news from Judicial Watch.